You are listening to Curious Cat, a podcast that examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. And I'm your host, Jennifer Holtz. Join me every week as I examine what it means to be a soul in a meat suit. Welcome to Curious Cat. Hello, thanks for listening to Curious Cat. This week, we are talking about everyday magic, the rituals and superstitions that are so ingrained in the everyday, they are nearly invisible to us. Let's get into it. So as I put my socks on for this morning's run, I realized I do this in a certain way because of a superstition I hold. I put on both socks, then both shoes before taking a single step. Even if the fire alarm went off, I would not budge. I'm not sure where I picked up this superstition that walking with only one sock on will cause certain death, but I live with it. There are a myriad of others I have woven into my life. I always stir my morning coffee clockwise so that I imbue the brew with good luck for the day to come. I have a horseshoe hanging in the entryway of my home. There are others too. Maybe I'd have some shame about my beliefs, except it seems like I'm in good company. According to a YouGov study conducted September 2019, 69% of Americans self-report being somewhat to very superstitious. An older Gallup poll from 1996 says that 25% of Americans acknowledge they were very or somewhat superstitious, up 18% from 1990. This, regardless of advances in science and technology. I wonder how high the number will be after 2022. I mean, we've lived through a pandemic. Did we get more superstitious or less? I mean, if I had to guess, I would say a lot more superstitious. One thing that's clear is that younger people tend to be more superstitious than older folks. Here are some of the most common superstitions. The number 13 is considered unlucky, while the numbers 12 and 14 are perceived as complete. 13 is considered irregular and incomplete. The Friday the 13th creeps predate the horror movie Syndicate featuring Freddy Krueger. Why the superstition surrounding the number 13? It's most often attributed to Christian roots. The King James Version of the Bible says there were 13 guests at the Last Supper, according to Statista.com. The last person to join them was Judas, the betrayer, the man that would turn Jesus into his enemies, which led to Jesus' crucifixion by Roman soldiers. More than a quarter of Americans are superstitious about knocking on wood, which, if you're unfamiliar with that custom, is to knock on anything made of wood after you express hopes that something will happen. 13% of respondents are wary of a black cat crossing their path. I'll go into this further in a bit. For the time being, though, can we just stop it with this? There are 2 black cats in my family, and we have to be extra protective of them, especially as Halloween approaches. 10% of people are terrified of having bad luck if they break a mirror. 12% felt it was bad luck to walk under a ladder. So what are the origins of our superstitions? In general, there's some consensus that they were developed as survival mechanisms going back to our caveman days. One teacher that I've linked to in the show notes says even secular cultures hold superstitious beliefs, reasoning these beliefs are often emotional and fear-based. A group of Penn researchers are using game theory to demonstrate how groups of individuals, each starting with distinct belief systems, can evolve a coordinated set of behaviors that are enforced by a set of social norms. Carol Akay, an assistant professor of biology at Penn, says, "What's interesting here is that we show that, beginning in a system when no one has a particular belief system, a set of beliefs can emerge and from those, a set of coordinated behaviors. For me, this calls to mind subsets of society with deeply held superstitions. Baseball players and actors, those come to mind first. So next time you're at a baseball game, watch the batter carefully. Each one has a unique set of movements they do before stepping up to the plate. Or what about NBA players? Even college basketball players do this. Watch even the most seasoned player step up to the free throw line. Their superstitious rituals are on full display. From the number of times they dribble the ball, to the spin of the ball, to the tug on their shorts or palm wiping off at the bottom of their shoes. This series of movements were carefully choreographed over the course of a career. The player, if asked, would be certain the ritual affects the likelihood they'll make that foul shot. When batters in the Major League Baseball are hot, odds are they're eating the exact same pregame meal or are wearing the same socks game after game. Whatever they attribute their hot bat to, they will keep consistent until their streak ends. I mentioned actors. You've no doubt heard of some of the superstitions surrounding the theater. How a ghost light is kept on at all times backstage, night or day, so that when the humans leave the building, the spirits won't be restless. It's best to say break a leg, not good luck, to ensure a great performance. What about the Shakespeare title that must never be uttered in a theater or it will result in tragedy? Some historians attribute this superstition to a legacy of struggling playhouses who staged this particular Shakespeare play to turn around the fortunes of their theaters only to go broke because of the elaborate production. Oh, one final and more modern superstition related to elite athletes. Being featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine seems to be the kiss of death for a season. Why are we so superstitious? We have electric lights, people. We're not living in caves anymore. From Psychology Today's article titled, Why We're So Superstitious, writer Dr. Susan Krauss says, superstitions are one of the most fascinating yet least studied of our everyday behaviors. She goes on to explain, we may not even be fully aware of the many little rules that we follow to ensure that life goes the way we want. She brings home her point by sharing, without even realizing it, you never once step on a crack while striding on the sidewalk and you skirt around any ladder that's propped against a building. She begins the meat of the discussion by distinguishing between rituals and superstitious behavior. I've kind of used them interchangeably in my podcast, but she brings up a good point. A ritual is an action that we repeat because of its symbolic value. Religious rituals have been developed over time and are steeped in tradition. Superstitious behavior, on the other hand, can include rituals you engage in to produce a specific outcome. We learn these behaviors through a simple reinforcement process, so when a certain action appears to lead to a desired consequence, we repeat it. If you wore a certain suit to a successful presentation, then you'll probably do the same in the future to avoid jinxing the situation. And if for some reason you don't and that presentation is a flop, you'll assume it's an omen that you were doomed to fail, or you're not wearing the right clothes caused you to fail. Kent State University researchers took a deep dive into the under-researched arena of sports fan superstitions. The research team believed that underlying superstitious behavior was the uncertainty hypothesis, which is the notion that when people are unsure about an outcome, they try to find a way to control it. I just got goosebumps. This is the key, isn't it? For many people, not having control over an outcome is a frightening proposition. The more important these uncontrollable situations are, the more likely you'll try to dream up ways to control their outcome, even though this may be unrealistic. I can vouch for the mega superstitious fan behavior. True story. When we watched the Seattle Seahawks games growing up, if the Seahawks went behind, my big brother was forced to watch the rest of the game from the basement. The only recourse for superfans, particularly when they are not physically at the game, is to reach into their bag of superstitious behaviors to help their team win. Lucky jerseys, lucky snacks, good luck charms tucked in their pockets. Researchers found that the more loyal the fan, the more likely it was they would engage in superstitious behaviors. Sports fan or not, the more you feel that your life is determined by factors outside of your control, the research says, the more likely you will become superstitious. They go on to say that one or two superstitious behaviors won't cause harm. The problem comes when you fail to distinguish between outcomes you can control and those you cannot. The upshot is recognizing how important it is to distinguish between the controllable and uncontrollable events in life. It's your actual efforts and abilities that bring about success. So what are some of the origins of our most commonly held omens and superstitions? From livescience.com, it's bad luck to open an umbrella indoors. Some historians trace this belief back to ancient Egypt, but further fact-checking shows that their superstitions about the pharaoh's sunshades are markedly different. So that origin isn't accurate. Most historians have come to believe that it's from Victorian England. At that time, umbrellas were made of clumsy metal frames with unpredictable spring mechanisms that could be dangerous and cause minor accidents. Most likely, the superstition arose as a deterrent to opening the accident-prone objects indoors. It's bad luck to walk under a ladder. This superstition actually does come from ancient Egypt, 5,000 years ago. A ladder leaning against a wall forms a triangle, a shape held sacred to Egyptians, embodied by the pyramids. Walking through that sacred symbol was considered a desecration. Christians later adopted this belief, rationalizing that a ladder had rested against the crucifix where Jesus died, becoming a symbol of wickedness, betrayal, and death. Curiously, in 1600s England, criminals were forced to walk under a ladder on their way to the gallows. A broken mirror means 7 years of bad luck. I need to preface this research with my thoughts. I'm not sure either of these explanations sounds 100% valid, but here's what Live Science says. In ancient Greece, they often consulted mirror seers who told fortunes by analyzing their reflections. They used a looking glass and water to determine if a sick person might die or not. A second account told of ancient Romans who believed people's health changed in 7-year cycles. A distorted image from a broken mirror meant 7 years of ill health and misfortune. I went on and did further research, and a more straightforward explanation that I found was that hundreds of years ago, mirrors were very expensive. So the superstition was uttered so that servants might be extra careful when cleaning or moving these precious objects. When you spill salt, toss them over your left shoulder to avoid bad luck. Spilling salt has been a harbinger of a cursed fortune for thousands of years. Ancient Sumerians in 3500 BC first took to nullifying the bad luck of spilled salt by throwing a pinch over their left shoulders. This ritual spread to Egyptians, the Assyrians, and later the Greeks. This superstition reflects how much people prized salt as a seasoning and preservative for food. In fact, the word salary comes from salt, and the precious status it held. Even the saying, not worth his salt, reflects this reverence. Knock on wood to prevent disappointment. The most prevalent superstition in the U.S., its origins are very much in doubt. Some attribute it to the ancient religious rite of touching a crucifix when taking a solemn oath, Goldsmith writes an alternative origin might be from European peasants who had the habit of knocking loudly to keep out evil spirits. Always God bless a sneeze. In other customs, a sneeze is seen as the expulsion of a dark entity, and some will give congratulations instead. But in the U.S., it's customary to say, bless you. Pope Gregory, some time ago, as an especially virulent illness swept through Italy, encouraged people to pray for the sick and ordered light-hearted responses to sneezes like, may you enjoy good health or God bless you. Hang a horseshoe on your door, open-ended for good luck. Well, I told you about the horseshoe that hangs in my entryway to catch and keep good luck. Many cultures consider a horseshoe a good luck charm. Belief in its magic powers traces back to ancient Greeks who felt the element the shoes were forged out of, iron, had the ability to ward off evil. Adding to their lucky iron is their shape, that of a crescent moon, which was a symbol of fertility and good fortune. The British Isles, once afraid of witches, felt the horseshoes kept them at bay if they nailed them to the walls or doors of their buildings. The thinking being witches were allegedly afraid of horses, so any sign of the horses would keep them away. A black cat crossing your path is lucky or unlucky. Many cultures agree that black cats are powerful omens, but do they signify good or evil? Well, you know my opinion. Black cats are wonderful. Ancient Egyptians revered all cats, and it was their belief that a black cat crossing your path brought good luck. Yeah, I didn't misspeak. Good. That positive reputation is recorded again and again, including into 17th century England. King Charles I kept and treasured a black cat as a pet. When his cat passed away, he is said to have lamented that his luck was gone, and sure enough, he was imprisoned only days later. During the Middle Ages, many in Europe took the opposite belief, accusing black cats of being the companions of witches, or were even witches in disguise. Pilgrims imported that toxic view to a young America. On a recent trip to Alaska, we scheduled an afternoon of fishing on a boat. The captain was insistent that we did not bring bananas on board his boat in any way, shape, or form. I mean, he told us not even to have banana printed on a t-shirt and bring it on the boat. We could only guess as to the reasons why, because they have slippery peels, or maybe because they were pungent, so it might increase odds of an accident or seasickness. We asked the captain directly, and he joked, evading us, only commenting that bananas on board mean the fishing will be awful. I did a little research once we were back on shore and found that this superstition goes back hundreds of years. Reasons for it include the fact that often bunches of bananas would carry with them stowaways of giant exotic spiders and other insects that might infest a ship. Here are some other strange omens from across the globe, courtesy of Mental Floss. I need to preface the very first one by saying this may be my favorite omen of all time. Okay, here it is. Putting your clothes on inside out in Russia invites a beating. Oh my God, I'm not making this up. If this does happen to you, Mental Floss so helpfully notes, all hope is not lost. Put your clothes on the correct way, and then immediately have a friend symbolically hit you. Dear Lord, I'd love to be your plus one in this circumstance. I could Hollywood slap you. I practiced the art of the fake punch or slap with my older brother for hours on end as a kid. Here's another one. Mixing beers in the Czech Republic is bad luck. I hope this rule doesn't apply to Chardonnay or I am in deep trouble. Regardless, and I say this stone cold sober, do not pour beer into a glass that has beer of another kind in it. Bad luck will surely follow. Tuesday the 13th is considered unlucky in Greece. Nope, I didn't mispronounce Monday. Tuesday. Greeks are wary of Tuesdays, particularly Tuesday the 13th. The rationale traces all the way back to Tuesday, April 13th, 1204, on the Julian calendar, when Constantinople completely fell to the Crusaders. Oh, but that's not the only cursed Tuesday, the 13th. There was also Tuesday, May 29th, 1453. Constantinople fell that day to the Ottomans. A 19th century travel writer wrote that he'd heard Greeks even avoid shaving on Tuesdays. In some Latin American cultures, it's unlucky to get married on a Tuesday. Yep, the unluckiness of Tuesday is evident in the renaming of the Friday the 13th horror movies in South America to Tuesday the 13th. There's even a saying that translates roughly to, on Tuesdays, you shouldn't get married, go on a trip, or leave your house. I wonder if DoorDash is allowed. It's bad luck to shake your legs in South Korea. Okay, what? Don't shake your legs, they believe. Otherwise, your wealth and good luck will fall out. I think it must have something to do with pockets and holes, right? I'm not going to question it. I do find it interesting that in America we have a saying, shake a leg, which means hurry up. In some fishing regions of China, it's bad luck to flip over a cooked fish. The resulting bad luck is oddly specific. It will lead to a ship capsizing. If it's a whole fish, some families will use chopsticks to pick meat from the bottom of the fish when they're done with the top, which I think is pure genius. In some parts of Europe, lighting a cigarette from a candle is bad news for sailors. I have only seen this done in movies, to be honest. In parts of Europe, though, if you light a cigarette with a candle, a sailor might die. The agreed upon origins are that sailors used to supplement their income by selling matches, so bypassing the match step robbed a sailor of their abundance. Women in traditional Rwandan societies avoid goat meat. It's not permitted because it's thought to make women grow a beard. Oh, and here I thought that was menopause doing that. Maybe I should cut back on my goat cheese. In Italy, bread placed upside down is bad luck, either in a basket or on a table. The most commonly held explanation of this is that the bread loaf represents the body of Christ and as such is to be treated with respect. In Sweden, it's considered bad luck to put keys on a table. All right, I'm thinking IKEA created this to sell their key racks. Never mind. I guess the true reason is because in the old days, prostitutes would put keys on tables in public areas to attract clients. I never would have guessed that, would you? Don't pass money by hand in Tajikistan. Same goes for scissors, needles, and keys. They should be placed on a table, then picked up by the intended recipient. In parts of Eastern Europe and Central Asia, after starting a journey, it's considered bad fortune to return home for something you've forgotten. If you absolutely must go back for the forgotten thing, you need to stop and look in a mirror and smile at your reflection before setting off again. In Azerbaijan, it is a terrible omen to spill salt or pepper. It will start a fight. The remedy to this is to pour sugar on the spilled salt and pepper and leave it just so until it's cleaned up. I guess a teenager created this omen. Mystical moms of Azerbaijan are probably cleaning up a lot of salt and pepper and sugar. An early 20th century Pennsylvania German superstition says that if your first visitor of the new year is a woman, you will be cursed all year long. If your visitor is a man, though, good luck follows. In the same culture, it's considered bad luck to bathe or change clothes between Christmas and New Year's. Okay, and if you change your underwear between the holidays, you will be full of boils. I think in light of that second part, women would do well to stay away until that post-New Year's shower occurs anyhow. In Turkey, it's bad luck to drink water that reflects moonlight. This is according to the Turkish Ministry of Culture. Bathing in that water is acceptable, though. People who bathe under the moonlight and in shadow will shine as bright as the moon. I never drink water that sat out overnight on my nightstand. In fact, I don't even use it to water plants. Native Americans call this water dead water, and I believe that too. The water has no life by morning and has absorbed negative dreams. I pour what's left outside or down the drain. Like I said, I used to water plants with it, but they wilted and died. I know it's not the most scientifically sound experiment, but there you have it. In Serbia, complimenting a baby will bring it ill fortune. Instead, you're supposed to say that the newborn is ugly. Or how about we don't say anything at all? Tripping over something was considered bad luck in 19th century New England. A book published in 1896 lists the only remedy as a do-over. Go back and walk over the thing again. And if it's a stone, the text notes, go back and touch it. According to an early 20th century superstition, all dishcloths should be burned before you move. That way, all the bad fortune you've wiped up won't follow you to your new place. 19th century Welsh tradition states it's bad luck to cut the nails of an infant before it's 6 months old. Other versions say 12 months. This may bring ill health or ensure the child grows up to be a thief. Yikes. They suggest the mother nibble the nails off. Going with the fingernail theme for a second, in some Asian countries, it's considered unlucky to cut your nails after dark. They say it may attract spirits, but the lore may be grounded in the well-being of their children. As in, using a sharp trimmer on them when there's dim lighting could result in a painful incident, which makes perfect sense. In some Middle Eastern countries, to open and close scissors without cutting anything is considered bad luck. Some speculate this has something to do with two plates of metal scraping against each other, but I couldn't find any further verification of this. In Germany, you should never wish someone happy birthday early. It's thought to bring misfortune. Oh, and to cheers or toast a friend with a glass of water is the equivalent of wishing death upon them. So only cheers with alcohol. Never mix wine and watermelon in Argentina. This old wives' tale says that combining them will cause certain death. Okay, I have to confess here, I've done this. I've done this a few times. And yes, it's true. One day the Grim Reaper will come for me, I am certain. I'll admit, I am a quirky girl. Rituals are sprinkled over my space and day like sea salt over an avocado toast. I stir my coffee clockwise in the morning, inviting in good energy and luck. I told you about the sock quirk at the top. Life is full of uncertainty. If staying on top of my superstitions helps me feel I have a slight edge over fate, what is the harm? So go ahead and knock on that wood. Avoid those cracks in the sidewalk. But if these simple actions hold you back in any way, it may be time to schedule a visit with a reputable therapist. Here are some old superstitions about health I think it's best to debunk before I close. Cold weather, wet hair, and sickness. Bundling up against winter chills will keep you warm, but it won't increase your chances of catching a cold. Colds come from viruses, not chilly breezes. And staying inside will not ensure you avoid a cold either, despite what moms everywhere have warned you for years. Another folk belief is that sleeping with wet hair will make you go blind or otherwise suffer. Well, I think we all know the only thing you'll suffer from is frizzy hair in the morning. Peeing on jellyfish stings or using meat tenderizer on stings doesn't actually work, sorry. There's no evidence to support this. In fact, good old ice packs or hot water are equally effective to treat skin redness and swelling. Meat tenderizer actually makes jellyfish stings worse. Skipping sunscreen on cloudy days. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir, but I've fallen asleep in the shade of a tree and woken up with a nasty burn. Don't be like me. I found one other interesting piece. Hospital ER staff can boast some superstitions, like on a slow ER shift, if someone wants to receive really dirty looks, they'll say the word quiet, as in, it's been a quiet shift. Many believe the ER will soon be flooded with patients. Another is what they call the Beetlejuice effect. If someone on staff says the name of a frequent ER visitor 3 times, odds are they're going to show up in the waiting room pretty quick. Full moon hijinks. For centuries, ER doctors have said full moons have been blamed for a wide range of health effects, increased birth rates, increased mental health crises, or even increased sleepwalking and accidents because of that. Studies have refuted all of this, but those beliefs persist. So I hope you'll share any superstitions you adhere to on socials. I'd love to hear about them. And I'd love to know that I'm in good company with you. Thank you for listening to Curious Cat. Huge gratitude for my art director and audio engineer. If you're in need of those services, please find their links in the show notes. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay curious. I love you.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you looking for a new podcast that appeals to your scientific curiosity, but is also a little bit spooky?
Show me how I died in a past life.
Well, look no further, because this cat is where it's at.
He had concerns about the ethics surrounding AI, feeling they had achieved consciousness.
Curious Cat Podcast examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. Listen every week with your host, Jennifer Holtz, as she and her guests explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit.
We were healing karma together. They were all kind of predestined to resolve something.
Listen on all your favorite streaming apps and continue the conversation on Twitter at CuriousCatPodCA, or find Jennifer and all her links at Jennifer L. Holtz, spelled HOTES.com.